Coming up next is our community event. This segment is brought to you by VisitorsCoverage.com, insurance for parents visiting USA. On Mother's Day, Narika celebrated 21 years of service to the community. Their annual gala, Mamma Mia, was a grand success. Preeti, you're the executive director of Narika. Tell me about the foundation.
So Narika is basically a non-profit organization working to end domestic violence in the South Asian communities in the Bay Area. We have a three-pronged approach. We have a confidential toll-free helpline where we provide counseling and support to primarily South Asian immigrant women in various South Asian languages. And we offer support as they are trying to overcome situations of abuse or violence in relationships or within their families and in their marriages. And the second more critical approach that we have is community engagement and advocacy, especially in the light of the gang rape in India last December that raised a lot of outrage, rightly so, about how systemic violence is, generally in larger society, but also particularly in our South Asian cultural context. And we are committed to engaging with the Bay Area-based South Asian communities to talk about violence and how we can work together to end it, and also engage with our youth and advocacy, because prevention is the strongest part of the work we can be doing. And thirdly, we have an economic empowerment training program called SEED, which we are very excited to restart after more than a year. We're starting it next Saturday on May 18th. And it's basically a training program to enable and empower low-income immigrant women to find work and re-enter, many times just enter the workforce for the first time.
Today has been a busy day. I'm sure you had commitments and yet you juggled schedules, rushed through events, and made it here. And I can think of at least one reason why you are here, beyond the Kama Sutra wine tasting and the artisanal food. You are here because you care.
Guests of honor included Consul General of India and Parthasarathi.
Let me also convey Happy Mother's Day, not only to the mothers who are present here, but to everybody, because whatever we are today, it's mainly because of our mothers.
I'm very, very appreciative of the work that Narika does. As someone that worked in the criminal justice system for over a decade, I know all too well the damage that is done through family violence. And especially in the South Asian community, having an organization that is so strong in talking about this issue, because it is not an issue that is discussed really and openly in our community, but it needs to be.
How many people in the community do you serve per year?
On an average, in the last couple of years, we've been getting over 1,200 calls to our helpline, and last year we worked with over 150 women survivors of domestic violence. So, and previous year too, that was a similar statistic. This year, because of increased outreach and advocacy, and after a hiatus, I was hired as a director. We're stepping up our advocacy, and we hope. We are, as much as it's depressing to see the numbers go up, that the fact that we are there as a resource, we're expecting it to be a higher number and hope to serve more women this year.
A lot of women might be feeling concerned that a lot of their information is private. What can you ensure people out there? What kind of confidence can you give them? What kind of surety can you give folks at home that whatever information they're sharing with you is going to be kept confidential?
Well, whenever somebody calls our helpline, either if it's staff, we have full-time staff working through the week to respond to those calls, or we have dedicated helpline volunteers. They're all DV trained, domestic violence counseling trained, which means they have certain codes of confidentiality and privacy that we are supposed to follow. And that is both for the safety and security of the women we serve, and also it's just best practices. So going by that code of conduct, we ensure absolute privacy and confidentiality. Our location is confidential. The information that we get about any client survivor is all confidential and is protected. And additionally, we also want to assure women, a lot of times when they call us, the typical case scenario is oftentimes vulnerability around the immigration situation. Either they are dependent on their spouse, the H4, or their green card is being processed. Also, if they're contemplating divorce, there's a child involved, issues around child custody, the child is a citizen, the mother is not, the husband maybe. There are various permutations of immigration complications that arise. And oftentimes, there's just lack of information. Sometimes women are extremely fearful of even reaching out for help because they feel that their immigration situation may be compromised. And that is not true. So, and in fact, there are ways that because of the VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, there's actually measures and provisions that will help women who are in like vulnerable immigration situations to actually empower themselves and figure a way out. So we want to be a resource, especially to those women. The other challenge we also, or the other kind of typical cases we serve are challenges around language barriers, and sometimes and language barriers is hard, right? In the US, where English is spoken everywhere, so we offer support in various languages and also help navigate various systems and resources, access to mental health services, getting accessing even lawyers, pro bono or low bono lawyers, depending on the situation. So those are the kind of resources we help with. We also don't have a shelter, but we partner with various agencies, domestic violence agencies in the Bay Area that do have a shelter. So we connect them with shelters and kind of accelerate that process too.
The highlights of the evening were wine tasting, jazz, a silent auction, a fashion show, and dance performances.
I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you in the room for being here with us today, because it means you care to be a part of the movement to end violence against women, and because it means you believe in the work we do. So thank you again for joining hands with us.
For more information about Narika, visit their website at narika.org. Reporting from the India Community Center, this is Kavita for Sitaarre TV. This segment is brought to you by visitorscoverage.com, insurance for parents visiting USA.